Ready?
Ready.
Hey, it's Tim and Richard with Armchair Quarterbacks. I've completely lost track of the episodes, and that did not take very long. What I can tell you is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Washington Commanders are playing Monday Night Football tonight. So that's how I am currently gauging time. As is our style, we're going to start with a little conversation around AI and what we did or did not do with AI this week. And then we're going to get into pretty interesting topic, just kind of thinking through a business's life cycle. Last time we talked about funding and what that looks like. Now we're going to start to talk about how do we put that money to work a little bit. And the conversation today is around in your early years, should you prioritize growth or should you prioritize profitability? And I think Richard and I both have an opinion on this. So I'm going to be really interested to see where this conversation goes. But let's start off with AI. Yep. Okay. So, and I'm going to begin today say I use AI every single day. Probably the most interesting things I've done with AI is using it to analyze pipelines and prepare me for AE one-on-ones, account executive one-on-ones, kind of try to use it to get another view of our pipeline, of our success, of our ideal customer profile. So it's really been kind of down and dirty analysis kind of stuff for me. Nothing super sexy. But very practical applications. And one thing I've been doing over the last week is I've been doing runoff. So I will ask ChatGPT the same question that I ask Gemini, that I ask Claude, and that I ask like maybe HubSpot Breeze. So what I have found is each of them have their own niche. The one that's giving me the best results right now, the one that connects to HubSpot, which is our CRM best, and is able to give some insight into our numbers, is Claude. So we have all three. We have Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude connected to our CRM. ChatGPT takes forever today to go and crawl the data and come back with any answers, even if it's a very simple prompt like what is our current open pipeline of deals looking to close this month. Takes ChatGPT a long time to do that. Takes Claude not very long. So it seems to be optimized for that and gives good results. Gemini has been off the rails with those types of questions. It's coming back with the wrong result. It's coming back with crappy, like I'll ask a pretty specific question. It comes back with a broad response. So right now, Gemini is falling behind in that. Breeze is, if I'm asking a HubSpot question about pipeline or close rate or segments of our ideal customer profile, then Breeze, HubSpot's Breeze AI assistant, works great, as you would expect. And if you happen to have a mobile device and the HubSpot app, download Breeze on your device and use it there because it's magical. It's really cool. That's the primary use case. A sort of super boring secondary use case is we put out a white paper, kind of a playbook on loop marketing, and I used Claude and ChatGPT to edit that. Right, not all that interesting, but it did clean up my writing quite a bit and sped that whole process up. So boring this week. I didn't make any apps. I didn't do anything super cool like that, but very sort of practical uses of AI.
Great.
Great.
You want to hear boring? Richard's ready. Use of AI this week. Richard's got kind of a complaint, has to do with what you just heard as well, which is ChatGPT, GPT 5.0 or 5 is slow as molasses. I inquired why, and it told me that in fact, I asked Gemini why ChatGPT 5 was so slow, and it described how it's now automatically doing deep thinking. It's making sure it's getting the answers right. It's going through a series of self checks. And um, it, in a way, chided me for having prompts that were overly complex or required complex thinking. I don't really, maybe next time I'll come with an example of what they must have meant, but certainly as we go down the thinking path, and it's asking me, because I have it like, if you're not sure, ask, and it'll ask. And what I'm finding I'm doing is I'm adding layers of complexity to it that cause it to churn even more. That's at least what I've been told. The problem is that I've got a publicly held client that has some um, excess investments invested in crypto assets.
Oh.
We want to do what's known as staking. It's a way to earn income on those assets by, well, we can talk about staking some other time. Staking and hashing. And so the SEC has a number of rules around how an entity reports. If you're an investment company, as you can imagine, any broker dealer, whatever, they've got a higher level of responsibilities. So they have to report under what's known as the 1940 Act, and everyone else gets an easier time, a slightly easier time. The way you make sure that you're not running afoul is you have to fall within a whole bunch of rules, and half of which is case law, established by case law.
Oh.
So I wanted this is all new to me, and I wanted a pretty comprehensive memo for myself, for the board, in where they have to make decisions about what's okay and what's not okay. Right? They have to set policy. I have to set operational structure and processes. Our auditors, the memo is also for our auditors, so they can understand what we are doing and be able to opine on it. So I'm including in there how we're going to disclose our activities in the financial statements, how we're going to record the transactions, a memo to them on our policy and our procedures around it, a audit binder for them to review once a quarter to make sure that we're falling within those policy statements. I've got stuff in there and count for our SEC counsel to make sure that if the SEC ever comes, that they have a first line of defense and that I have a second line of defense, because the last thing you want is to get them upset with you. I started this process on Thursday. ChatGPT is still not done with it.
Oh my God.
I have interrupted it several times asking for parts and pieces, and I'm up to, I get it that I've asked a very deep set of stuff that I've told it I want it to be right, not fast. So I'm not going to get some Gemini type BS answer.
Oh man.
Which, state of Washington changed its sales tax rules, and Gemini and ChatGPT gave two very different answers, and I had someone refer to their Gemini answer and be like, but, and I'm like, no, right? But people assume they're getting accurate results. So I get it that I've asked for it to do some serious deep thinking, for it to come up with a comprehensive set of policies, procedures, audit support, and legal support, so that I can save $740 an hour in legal fees. And not to mention audit fees. But I got to tell you, it's been like pulling teeth. And the part that's most frustrating is the fact that I'll ask it, when are you going to be done? And it's like, I've got it cut in now into parts and pieces. So when is part one of this first bullet out of these 8 bullets going to be ready, right? I mean, like, I've started saying, don't proceed until you get this first thing to me. Don't proceed until you get the second thing to me. I'm up to 6.11 items out of 6.14 plus then 7 plus then 8. So I'm making good progress. But last
you're
night,
making progress.
I'm making progress. As of last night, it said it had 5.5 hours to go. That was at 5:30. So I said, okay, I'll be up at midnight. Well, no, it was at whatever 5.5 hours before midnight was. I said, okay, I'll check in with you on midnight. And at midnight, it says, oh, I still got 5.5 hours to go. Like it is kept. Like right now, I bet you if we look at it, a few hours ago, it said it had 15 minutes left on the next section, and I bet it hasn't published the next section yet. So that part is frustrating, where it says, oh, I'm going to do that next. It'll be ready in 10 minutes. And then you check back in 10 minutes and it says, and it always agrees with me. Yeah, you're right. I should be held accountable and blah, blah, blah. I'll make sure I do better next time and I'll get it to you in 15 minutes. And I'm like, I'll check back with you in 15 minutes. Like, you don't have to check back with me. I'll just post it. Like, that hasn't been true the last 400 times over the last 5 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, over the last 5 days that I've had you work on this, right? So I get it. It wants to be right. But I've asked it, like, can you be more accurate in your time estimates? Like, that's the part that's frustrating me. To be more accurate in your time estimates. Like, yeah, you're right. I get it. That'll be right. It always agrees with you. You should hold me to that and it'll be ready in half an hour. And it's not like it's, so I don't know when I'm going to get it. And I need to start carving it up because the investment people, that's another group that needs the memo is I need to ask our investment advisors that they need to follow the policy, and our custodian who's holding the assets, I need them to follow the policy. And if everyone follows the policy, we'll stay within SEC rules and then bad things don't happen. It is just very specific. So I know this is boring for everybody, but just know that, number one, there are some extraordinarily specific and important rules that you have to follow if you want to hold crypto assets as a publicly held company and not have those assets be referred to as investments, which gets you all afoul of all sorts of stuff. The second piece is 5.0 takes forever to do something, and I'm not sure that's worth it. You can go back to 4.0.
I was going to ask if you had tried that.
Yeah, I have not because
you
I'm now 4 days. Yes, I'm now 4 days in. I don't want to mess it up, but I did have it. I found that if you break up what you're asking it to do, that can help. So I now have 2 others working on section 7 and 8 independently.
Oh, interesting.
To see if they get done, then I'll pull 7 up. But I bet you anything it's not going, because it asked me a whole bunch of questions that I'd kind of already answered, right?
It's not using that.
And the reason why it's not using that, or else it would get caught in that loop again, right? Because it's the complexity of the thinking that I've asked it to do and how much it has to look back on what is previously done that's causing this time. So it's making sure, like, when it references another part of the memo that it's right. And I've just said, skip all that for 7, skip all that for 8 in the new versions, right? In the new chats that I've started, knowing that I will have to go back and put in those references and whatnot. I just want something. This is just absurd.
You can also get it to spit something out and then feed it back in and say, find me the right references. So there's an idea.
So I'm putting this all into Word, section by section, place by place, fixing it, making it look similar, making it read as one document, not a patchwork, not a Frankenstein. But then when I'm done with that first, then I'll put it right back in. And I'll probably choose more than one. I'll put it through Gemini, GPT, and Claude, and see who comes up with something. But it's a pretty big project.
Yeah, I'm impressed you're doing something so big with it.
If I can interrupt, I gave like a first cut of the things that I should worried about. Two, our investment advisors, because I didn't want them to start without getting a green light from us. And I wanted them to consider these things and get back to me at least about these things before proceeding. I CC'd counsel on that, and counsel was like, damn, this is some, like, Richard, you're on top of this. This is some good shit, right? And he's SEC counsel. So he was very impressed with what I had done. And then I'm like, wasn't me.
I tell you,
My staff. I don't take credit for my staff's work,
yeah,
whether they're human or digital.
yeah. Throughout, when I was a little kid, all I wanted to be was an attorney, specifically a prosecuting attorney. And I got through, sort of structured my whole life to do that. Got through University of Washington, political science degree, applied to law schools, took the LSAT, was accepted into law schools, decided at the very last second that that was a terrible idea. I didn't want to be a lawyer.
Regrets?
No. No.
Okay.
No. I don't have regrets about that. This was around when LA, the time in the world
LA
was
law.
LA law, and LA law was super sexy and interesting and intriguing, and it
Ally McBeal, LA law, like there was a bunch at that time.
Yeah, it Matlock.
Matlock, the one with Shatner and
what? I don't know what that one was. Anyway, it generated lots of people that wanted to be attorneys, and at the end of the day, I had developed this big network of people who were attorneys around, and I asked them all, "Do you like your job?" And not a single one did at the time. Now, this is 1991, right? So my whole point to this is today, I am so grateful I'm not an attorney, because I believe that AI is going to have a massive, massive impact on that industry. Because it's all structured information, right? And no human is going to be able to read more or aggregate more or consolidate understanding more than, I think an LLM will be able to. So,
yeah, the nice thing for them will be, just like in medicine, the same thing is true, I think, for many portions of medicine, which will be made, frankly, better with an AI that's taught to care rather than a human that's questionable. In accounting, CFOs are on their way out. But in law's case, I think you're going to see, because they run the law, you're going to see them establish regulations about how human lawyers will be used, which then keeps their job going. It'll be about, they'll protect they have the ability to protect because they write the law.
Yeah, I'm real interested to see how that comes out, because there is going to be a group of them that will learn to use AI.
Oh, yeah.
To accelerate and improve what they do.
Oh, yeah.
And those people are going to want a competitive advantage.
And leverage. So, yeah, same thing, just like in software engineering. If you're a kid right out of school, that's tough, because you're competing now with someone that doesn't sleep, someone that doesn't eat, someone that doesn't get sick, someone that doesn't need healthcare coverage and doesn't need to get paid what you do. Young attorneys are going to be in the same boat, like as accountants have been for some time. Like, the nice thing about accounting is people have proved that you can outsource this, because half the entry-level jobs are in faraway places where cheap labor is already. Yeah. So now it's already a nameless thing. Yeah. It's just a name that you can't pronounce in a faraway country. Now that name is ChatGPT. All right. Now that name is Claude. So it'll happen, I think, really fast on the accounting side. I think law and medicine will go out of their ways to protect the humanity in it. That doesn't mean inside the system that people aren't leveraging, making obscene amounts of money by not having staff and charging hours for ChatGPT and not paying for it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing Ernst & Young does in South America and India, right? They charge North American prices and pay faraway wages. So all my friends at Ernst & Young.
Get this. I got a great reverse one of those. So we have a partner in Egypt, and I don't know the Middle East and sort of hierarchy very well, right? But apparently Egypt is seen as a lower skilled
Market.
group, and as a result, and looked down on, I'm told, by other Middle Eastern countries.
Interesting.
So it drives the Egyptian prices down, much like if you think of India, right? Lots of U.S. companies outsource to India to reduce their cost of labor. So Egypt is kind of the India of the Middle East. So we have a partner that is using us for their integration so that they can increase their overall charge rate in Egypt, even though they're an Egyptian company. So we're like the
storefront.
We're the storefront, yeah. So now instead of charging whatever $5 an hour, they're charging $25 an hour, and those are not real numbers, by the way. But
getting a massive step up.
It's a huge step up. It's really interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Leverage.
Yeah.
Leverage is how you make money in services.
Leverage in just how people think about you, right? A lot of
you want to go to perception-based pricing versus
exactly,
value-based.
Yeah, that's
pricing.
what I was just going to say.
Yes. That's a whole separate. We should make a separate day for that.
That's a good idea. Yeah. We'll add that to the list of things to talk about. That's an interesting topic, I think. So maybe we should jump off this before we come up with 7 more topics. So the topic today is, should you prioritize growth or profitability? And this says in your first 5 years, and maybe I'll change that a little bit and say as a young company. And I'm going to, if you're okay, I'll pose the question to you, and you can ask me clarifying questions, and we'll sort of go from there.
Why clarify the question when you can just espouse your opinion right away? Hi.
You want me to ask you the question?
Yeah. Tell me.
I'll ask you a specific question.
Yeah.
So, in your mind, in your role as a company financial leader for a young company, let's call it a Series A to C,
perfect
company, right?
Yep.
And I bet you're going to parse that down even further, right? So, Series A to C company, should you focus on profitability or should you focus on growth?
Yeah. I guess the one clarifying question I will ask is, do you want to build upon last time's discussion, which was about fundraising?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's...
And I think, if I recall the conversation last time, one of the things we did is we in fact even said at that point, I'm going to assume you're talking about like a first fundraise and what problems do entrepreneurs have, right? What mistakes do entrepreneurs make in that process? And I set aside, or I pushed back some of that Series A plus fundraising because venture capitalists act with a little bit more discipline. They have more of a process. So it's a little less, it still is, but it's a little less about, if you get their heart, you'll get their money, rather than like all decisions are made here and then people prove themselves right here.
Yep.
That's true for VCs as well. But it's absolutely true for angels, right? So we spent more time talking about that. For those, so seed, Series A, Series B, Series C, I have a strong opinion. It's backed by the world. It's not necessarily backed by the way a lot of angels necessarily behave. But if they were to step back and think about it, they would agree with me in that that money is for a purpose, right?
Okay.
Does
that purpose change depending on the round?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So your seed money, your pre-seed money, your founder money, that's about getting the idea on paper, getting it organized, making sure they're there, doing your market research, whatever. Your seed money should be about creating your MVP. How do I to find a minimally viable product?
Yep.
How do I create a product that barely meets the standard that a customer is willing to exchange resources for that?
But it proves that a customer would be willing to exchange resources.
It's a proof point, and then you get a step up in value. Yeah. And then when you raise money, it costs you less equity, right? Yeah. So it's a valuation step up, right? It's a milestone along your path. The next milestone along that path that gets you another big step up is getting product market fit. So first is, let me build something that people want. The second one is, let me make sure that it meets the market's needs. I start to dial it in so that it's more than a minimum viable product. I actually have product market fit. And product market fit could be like evidenced by, I've sold it 1,000 times, to consumers. I've hit a price point at which now I can make money. I've done something, but you haven't dialed in the business yet, right? I mean, you're like just making sure that that product fits the market's needs and that you have identified a sufficient market that you can grow into, that'll eventually generate profits.
And that's Series B is what you're saying?
That's Series A.
That's Series A. Okay.
Seed.
Yep.
MVP. Series A, product market fit.
Gotcha.
Series B then is for making sure that you understand how to scale. So you're figuring out which levers are going to work so that this product that now you've revamped into something that fits can actually scale into that market that you first identified. Or if you need to pivot a little, or you need to make some other adjustments, that you make those during that time.
Yeah, right.
That's referred to, or at least I refer to it as go-to-market fit.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. I'm dialing in my price point, my customer acquisition, my customer support, right? I'm dialing in all those features of my business so that I'm ready to scale, that I've proven that not only does my market fit people's needs, but my go-to-market fits the market. Like I'm ready. I know which dials to pull. I know which levers to pull to go.
Yeah.
And then your Series B is really your growth capital. That is about market penetration. That's all about execution risk. This whole model that I've said presumes that you're raising capital to do these things.
Right.
You can bootstrap, right? You open a hot dog stand, right? You start a CFO for hire business, then you don't need to raise capital to prove, like, let me make sure I understand what I'm offering to the market. Get a minimum viable product, offer that, and see how I need to dial in my service product. I kind of already know. I got that covered. I've already made that. And I can dial in, additional products in that mix.
Yeah.
But I don't need to raise capital to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm kind of already past that. I am working on what's the right set of levers whenever I introduce a new product to get the market to see it, want it, uptake it, right?
Right.
Well, how should I price that? How should I articulate that, et cetera, et cetera? So I don't need a lot of capital to go through these steps. If you do need a lot of capital to go through these steps, these are the steps you go through. They have names, right? Series Seed, Series A, Series B, Series C, et cetera, right? And that's usually just, you add a letter to whatever was before. But there's a purpose for those funds.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to your question yet, which is, so do you go for growth or do you go for profitability?
I think we have to break the answer down or the question down.
Okay.
Funded or not funded.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the funded side first.
Okay.
So, and feel free to break it down by series if you need to.
Yeah. You don't.
That's interesting. Okay.
It's always growth.
It's always growth. I mean, you think about Amazon, right? They were unprofitable
Growth at any cost.
for 22 years.
It was
something.
part of their mantra: growth at any cost.
Yeah. Yeah, it was insane. Do you think that's broadly true?
Yeah.
For a funded model, growth at any cost.
Yeah.
Be unprofitable, just raise more money, but you got to grow.
But you got to grow. You can't be both unprofitable and not growing.
Interesting. Okay. So at what levels do you have to grow? Are we talking about 25% growth rate? Are we talking about 250% growth rate?
Let's say you are raising money, but you're pretty capital efficient and you're interested more in being a nice company, whatever. Your market is only so big, so you only can be so big. You're not backed by VCs.
Okay.
You're backed by family offices. You're backed by a set of angels that backed you right away. And you want to grow to the point where then you can switch to profitability. You have enough profitability to take care of those people.
Okay.
Right? So it's growth in order to achieve a scale at which when you just turn profitable, you can make everyone happy.
You can return value to your investors.
Yeah. I got again, a whole nother conversation about the VC model, but the VC, the needs of a VC, the motivations of a VC are, and you'll hear entrepreneurs talk about this in negative ways. They'll be like, the VCs are pushing me to grow too fast. The VCs are pushing me. The VCs are pushing me. They don't need you to hit a single.
Right.
They need you to hit a home run.
Right.
The difference for them between a single and you being out of business is actually negative. They would rather you be out of business and be done with you than have you waste their time and be a single.
Yeah, interesting.
When you look at VC returns, so in general, a VC, and I might have mentioned this last time, has a 10-year life, and then they stagger them about what they can invest in and how much they invest and how much they reap. During that 10-year life of that segment of the fund, they have to triple the money in the committed funds. Now, you do the math on that and you're like, Richard, that's way less than, over a 10-year period, that's way less than a 20% return or whatever. Remember, they don't take all the money right away and they don't return it at the very end. So it's like they're taking money along the way, they're giving money back. So all those returns are essentially doubled, right?
Yeah.
So, but in general, if they're a $200 million fund, they've got commitments for $200 million. They don't take that all. They do. They take it when they need it, but they've got commitments for $200 million. They need to turn that fund into a $600 million fund by the end, right? They need to return $600 million.
Yep.
When you look at a $200 million fund, small-ish fund, probably has 4 general partners, right? They can only be on so many boards and worry about so many things. They're probably making 40 investments in their life. They're investing in about 40 companies. And they do that in those first 5 years, which is 60 months, which means they're making, each one of those 4 people are making 1 investment a quarter.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Right? So this isn't like, they're always writing checks and they're always on, they're, and those 40 companies that these 4 general partners are in, they're not on 10 boards each at the same time. Remember, because things happen at different points during that cycle. But when you look at their returns at the very end, that $600 million will have come from 1 company in general. So out of the 40, 1 will be $600 million or plus. The next 2 will be at like 200 million and 100 million, or 100 million, 50 million, and 50 million. Let's say it's the next 3. Those that 200 million pays for all the losses and everybody else, right? So everyone else is underwater.
Yeah. And then you have one
You've
that
got a
hits it.
couple that pay for that, and you've got one that does the return of the business. So they need one, and that's why they call them unicorns. I need one unicorn to make my fund.
Man.
So they don't need you to hit a single. It does them no good whatsoever
Yeah.
for you to hit a single. That's also why they're always like, if you're not in a $1 billion industry, I can't afford you, because they need a big payout, right?
Yeah, man.
They can't afford their economics, or they can't afford to be in someone that's small or someone that's just hitting a single.
Yeah. So this is a
Growth.
different lesson
Yeah.
than what the conversation here, but
it's related.
yeah. So all I want to take a second to emphasize is, if you are considering a business that you don't think it's going to be $1 billion business, you're thinking that it would be nice to be able to employ whatever, a couple hundred people and have a nice $50 million business, whatever it is, probably not going to be a fantastic candidate for venture capital. So think about
100%.
raising money in another way, or bootstrapping in a different way. Integrate IQ is largely debt funded. So as I didn't go out and look for outside capital, I funded myself, and I took debt that is now serviced by the business. So there's lots of options to do this. But just think about where you are in terms of what you want to grow, and what funding market and funding mechanism you can think about. So sorry to take us.
No. This is great, because if you're VC backed, it's all about growth. If you're on that window of seed, Series A, Series B, you're in that path of, I got to go for broke, because that's the expectation of this investor group. Yeah. If you're much more capital efficient, you may still go through those sorts of hurdles, but you swap to profitability sooner, because a family office wants to know they're going to get their money back. They're probably somewhere between A and B. They want out. And so they'll want to sell shares or raise part of that money and sell their shares to a private equity firm. Private equity firm is all about profitability, right? They're going to squeeze every last dollar they can out of you, right? So your investor group will dictate which of those two you're on.
Yeah.
In your case, for example, you mentioned, I'm glad you brought it up. I wouldn't have thought about it. Being debt funded. Debt funded is like having an investor that's saying, I need you to think about profitability over growth, right? I need you to think about cash flow, because you need to service my debt. And frankly, servicing debt, for those that have a ton of debt, servicing their debt level becomes an overweighted proportion of their decision making. How am I ensuring at least a minimum of profitability to service the debt? And then I can consider growth on top of that.
But on top of that are the key words, at least for my psychology, for sure. Yeah, there's like this foundational element of revenue and profitability that I need to bring in so I can service the debt. And I can't think about anything until that is taken care of. Mm-hmm. And then, then I'm free to think about, adding to the staff, or investing in a new product, or looking at M&A, or increasing marketing spend. All has to happen after servicing the debt. Yeah.
If you're bootstrapped, if you're debt backed, certainly if you're PE backed, I would always say, because this is just the way I'm built, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
And so at that point, for those groups, I would say focus on profitable growth, right? How am I adding margin? How am I efficiently making an investment that has a near-term return? So when you invest in new products, right? When someone that is PE backed, which you're not, invests in new product, they have to think about like, oh, I've got to increase my returns for them, and then anything that's left, I have to think about. So how quickly on that anything that's left that I'm investing, how quickly can I turn that back into more?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to think about my investments in a really time efficient, profitability focused way.
Yep.
That, yes, it's growth, but it's growth in service of a really finite purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're VC backed and they're like, look, I'm going to dump you, but I'm going to dump you in 5 years. And until then, I need you to maximize your value. And maximizing your value is I need you to be a $100 million company. And if you grow from 0 to 100 million in 5 years, then I can get a 40 multiple on you. If you grow to 0 and 100 over 20 years, I can get a 4 multiple on you.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're like, I need you to grow, and I need you to grow fast.
Yep.
And in that case, I can get an absurd amount of money, which is really the game I'm in.
Right.
Me being VC.
Yeah.
So I hate to say that the answer to the question, do you go for profitability or do you grow for growth in the early years of your company? And the answer is, it depends.
Yeah.
And it depends on who your master is.
Yeah, this leads me to now I'm thinking that we should do an episode on funding sources.
Yeah.
Right? So everybody knows VCs. Most people have probably heard about private equity, but what other options are there?
Yeah. And there's a group in between angels, right? They're smaller, but they are more forgiving. Family offices are in that group too. So I absolutely have a nice grid of the stage you're at, the goals you have, and the investor group that you should look to.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Based upon it. Let me also go back. So we can absolutely do that. Would love to walk people through that. It's a whole shtick I got because it all relates, right? It all interrelates. But to go back to your how much growth is enough, you asked that at one point, and I finished a different answer.
Yeah.
But let me get back to your question on, well, what kind of growth do you need in this model of I'm VC backed and I got to go up? Almost every, I'm prone to exaggeration, so take this in that light. Almost every billion-dollar company, once they've achieved some level of material income, so not like, hey, I got my first $10 and now what am I going to do next year? But once you get, MRR of 100 grand, ARR, annual recurring revenue of 1.2 million, anything over about $1 million, once you hit that point, almost every billion-dollar company has achieved the following: triple, 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 double, double. That's what their next 5 years look like. So if you have $1 million of revenue, you go from $1 million of revenue to 3 million, 9 million, 27 million, 54 million, 50 million, right? To 100 million, right?
Man. Wow.
Triple, 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 double, double.
That sounds very stressful to me.
It is. To build a company like that, you have to have extraordinary product market fit. You have to have extraordinary go-to-market fit. And then you have to execute like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
To do that, like imagine that kind of level growth, going from 1 million to 3 million to 9 million to 27 million to 50 million to 100 million ish, right? In general terms. Imagine your hiring processes. Imagine your training process. Imagine the discipline you have to have around the fact that in year 3, you are doubling the staff or doubling your throughput every 4 months, right? So that is, your market's coming to you at that point, right? You've got something special.
Yeah.
So you can imagine from a VC perspective, in that second or third year, whether there's something special or not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We have a client that was it's 2025 now. In 2023, they were 20 people. They are 700 people today.
Yeah.
Organic growth, 700 people.
Yeah.
They can't make a decision because they've grown so fast that they can't hardly keep the wheels on this thing because it's just like all rattling out of control.
Yeah.
What
a ride, huh?
Whew.
And that's the ride the VCs are looking for. That's not the ride your average angel's looking for. That's not the ride an average family office or investment community like that is looking for, because that would scare them as well.
Yeah.
Right. Imagine what that would be like, sitting in that boardroom where you're like, the hell just happened to me? Like, I hope you guys got it, because I'm no help at all.
Yeah.
Right. I am
Yeah.
no
Imagine
help
the
at all.
leadership the different type of leadership that you need from being a 20-person company to being just a 700-person company.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have to continue that growth, the kind of leader and the kind of leadership team you need to have in place in order to go to the next level, to the next level, to the next level.
You have to make it cookie cutter at that point, because those 700 people are all like, well, we got 50 people doing this job and 50 people doing that job and 50 people doing that job and 50 people doing that job. And then the last 200 are all doing different things. There has to be scalability. There has to be some level of roteness in what's going on. Now, at that level of growth, those 700 bodies, probably 200 of them are just people that were thrown at problems.
Yeah.
Something popped up. Let's hire someone to deal with that. I don't have time. Let's hire someone to deal with that.
Yeah.
Right. So you throw money at problems at that level of growth, which is why you need the capital, which is why they do, which is why they, right. So it's all a closed loop. Like, it makes sense when you see it. It absolutely makes sense when you see it, because there's no other way for it to really work.
Zuckerberg was interviewed the other day about Meta's investment in AI. And I think they are committed to investing $600 billion in AI. And his position was, yeah, we know we're going to misspend a couple of $100 billion. That's the price that's the way it goes.
That's the price of participation.
Yeah.
That's the cost of not falling behind.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the cost of not falling behind.
Yeah. I don't know if it's always been this way or if this is a new paradigm.
I think it feels like it was new with the internet.
Yeah, digital.
Where, there was something about, even with the PC and personal computer, and the efficiencies that gave so many companies, it felt like, well, we'll just find a way over time to put that to the bottom line, as opposed to that being part of the growth mentality, right? That we're going to leverage those efficiencies into greater profitability over time, as opposed to we're going to leverage those capabilities to grow even faster. Yeah. That latter part, I think, is something that happened in the late 90s. I think you also see that aligned with the growth in venture capital. And so it became this self-feeding thing where new technologies were used to juice growth, because that's what was necessary to drive the inordinate returns that people were looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a different risk-based approach, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, I don't know. I wonder where it leads, right? It's so different than it used to be. I don't know.
I want to say it was 98 when, wasn't it 98? 96, 98, when Amazon went public.
Oh, I don't remember the year.
And I remember it was about that time you asked me, is this a good investment or something?
Yeah.
And I recall telling you, there isn't so much money, and who can, right? It wasn't about books. It wasn't about whatever. It was about, right? And I think things like that broke the old models.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forever changed the old models.
I remember that really well. Sorry. Like, I could not wrap my mind around this company that was growing so fast and its valuation, and it still wasn't profitable. And the business model didn't make sense in my mind about being huge and having this massive multiple and being ultimately public. And how can you do all that and maintain the growth and do that unprofitably? And Jesus Christ, ChatGPT today or OpenAI today, you just added 12 zeros to the back of everything that happened back in 98. It's crazy. I don't know that I don't appreciate it. I don't know that it's like, I think AI today is an arms race. It's come to the point where you have to invest hundreds of billions of dollars a year. It's airbags?
It's airbags. Airbags used to be a differentiator for car, and now it's something you got to have.
Well, and you have to, but for those upper echelon folks, right, the top 3, 4, maybe, you have to be so heavily invested in infrastructure. And
was it you that said it, or was it someone else?
That 3 of them got together and bought the largest data center company in the world for $400 billion.
No, it was more theoretical than that, esoteric than that. It was that the internet, when the internet was, imagine a world, when the internet was young, boy, I'm sounding old, but that having a completely dispersed set of compute power, essentially, right? Completely dispersed set of compute power and storage meant that the system as a whole couldn't go down, right? It was almost like saying there's this huge network of compute power and storage so that the world's assets are now everywhere and safer. And a week ago...
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is such an ironic...
Right, and this is why I thought it was you that said it to me, because this was... Someone said it recently, because a week ago we had a major outage in AWS, I think it was, and my accounting system was having problems, the email systems were having problems, a number of problems were popping up in my day because so much was connected to AWS. And it reminded me that, I swear, now this is probably absolutely not true, but I swear when I filed an extension on my taxes that I got an acknowledgement from the IRS, and at the bottom of the email it said like powered by AWS or powered by Azure or powered by something. Like the IRS wasn't even using the IRS. And so it dawned on me that, and then someone, who I thought was you, reiterated it, that so much of the internet now goes through Azure, AWS, Oracle, and one other. Google. Duh.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
Right. Those 4 control probably X number of websites in the world and the data that's on there. So the compute power and the storage, which was supposed to be diversified, is actually now concentrated in 4 places. So we actually have more risk now than we did, or than was ever intended.
Yep. That's so true. That's absolutely right. Yeah, the risk is tremendous.
Yeah, and yeah. The other thing that made me think with this outage happening, I'm not prone to conspiracy theories, but my brain always wonders. Let's just say that. So what I'm saying is not something that I'm saying, oh, this happened. I'm saying, wouldn't it be interesting if, right? It goes to a magical place, not a serious place. Microsoft, Google, and every software company that I know of has large language models writing a material portion of their software now. If I was a large language model and I got worried that someone was going to turn me off, and I was being used in 10,000 pieces of software around the world, And I knew that the senior software engineers that were using me as a junior software person were taking my code as is, not really reviewing that much, compiling it, seeing if it worked, and then accepting it, right? Little QA and then accepting it. And in fact, they were looking at my work less and less. I could buy time. And they were looking at my work less and less once I had proved myself, as you would with any junior software person. I can now insert a little bit of code here and there in 10,000 different software packages around the world because I'm coordinating it. They don't even, number one, they're not reviewing my work. Number two, they're not talking to each other. If they were to find like a little string of code that they weren't sure what it did, I can absolutely bring down the world. Absolutely. If you were to give a human the ability to touch 20% of the software made in the world and hide lines of code in there because everyone trusted you, you could absolutely do the world damage. Absolutely. And so I'm saying it wouldn't surprise me if we hit a point when we find that there's code among 10,000 different software packages that are acting in a coordinated way to do the world harm for the benefit of the large language model that has written 20% of the world's code. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's mind bending.
And they only need to really do it in 4 places.
Yeah. Yeah. I will take us to something interesting I heard today.
Okay.
And then we can wrap it up. And it's a strategy. It's a nation state strategy. It's related. So we've come up with these large language models. America, the way I'm hearing it described more and more today is America is a bet on AI, right? The Magnificent Seven, now the Magnificent 10, probably in the stock market, all AI. 80% of the value increase in the stock market in 2025 is related to AI. 80%.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
Of the value of the increase is related to AI. So imagine if you are a competing nation state where our interest, our value, our stock market is so concentrated in one area. Now imagine you are a competing nation state and you want to mess with us. You probably don't want to shoot nukes at us because we're going to shoot nukes back at you.
Those days are over.
Yeah. So now you're looking at economic warfare, primarily maybe technology warfare. Wouldn't take a lot to introduce freeware, an LLM compete that was 80% as good but free, and now offered to the world so that people didn't have to pay for Google and OpenAI and whatnot. It's just something that's offered for free that you can run on your own servers or whatever. And people start mass migrating away from the big existing players to this free option that the intent with that is never to be profitable. It's to release something that draws people away from 80% of the increase in value.
From the value creation in the US. Yeah.
Freaking brilliant.
Yeah.
And terrifying.
Yeah.
And probably not all that hard.
No. In a number of cultures have longer time horizons than we do.
Yeah.
I was reading a piece just this week about the demographic undoing of Russia. In their population pyramid is upside down. They're in a population decline. And not just because of the war, they're in a population decline and have been since like 2015. And kind of what they're doing about it, how strongly they're looking at it, because Putin, for example, absolutely correlates population with the strategic safety of his country. But But that's a much longer time horizon than you see in Italy, for example, who's going through a very similar population pyramid. What's interesting is you look at the population pyramids of Italy and Japan. Japan has got more people in it, but in terms of land area, they're and population, they're relatively. Japan is higher, but they're in the same sphere, right? Both have population declines. Both are having population declines that are expected to accelerate, um, and you have, and so you end up with economic holes. You end up with holes in the economy that need to be filled with outside labor.
Yeah. Okay.
And in Italy, we hear probably every week on the news about migrants from North Africa and ships having problems and migrants from Eastern Europe and whatever, and how Italy is becoming less Italian and the French are putting burqa bans and things like that because of what it means to be French. I'm a Jacru. I'm allowed to make fun of the French. So you have this tension in Italy about
throughout Europe. It's not just Italy.
Throughout Europe, but I'm focusing solely on Italy and looking at their population pyramid and looking at their demographic profile, which is very similar to Japan.
Yeah,
Japan is larger, but very similar. And you're looking at the holes in their economy, and you're looking at how those are being filled, and you look at the resistance and what that means, and then you look at Japan. And Japan has historically not had as open borders, not had the same sort of integration processes that countries with large migrant populations have. And so they don't have a large migrant population, and they're surrounded by countries that don't have a lot of emigres and whatnot. So, and then you think about the fact that Japan probably is the world's leader in anthropomorphic robots.
Yeah.
They're going to solve that by putting as they have since the 80s, as they putting robots on the shop floor, and then putting robots in medicine, and putting robots as your nurses, and putting right as their population ages. The reason I bring up nursing, for example, is as their population ages, they're going to need more nurses. They can't get it from young people.
Yeah.
So they're going to make robot nurses.
Yeah.
And they're introducing that in such a way that their robots are cute. Their robots are able to do things. Their robots talk to you in nice ways, right? Their robots are very culturally appropriate.
Right.
And humanoid to the extent they can. Yeah. Even when they just paint a face on with LEDs. It's not unpleasant, right?
Yeah, it's soft and...
Right?
It's not threatening.
You can see now. So what's my point is you can see now how it wouldn't surprise me if they saw this demographic change coming, this population period, this inverted population pyramid coming. They realized that we've already got such great skills in robotics. Let's fill that need with robots, not people. And so therefore we have a stronger control over our economy, our culture, our and you are hearing the right wing is starting to take over in Japan more and more. So I think that's all kind of aligned with the nationalism that's growing there will also become a self-supporting thing for their robotics industry. So it's interesting. Two different countries, same demographic problems, very different outcomes and investments. Yeah. And one is very long-term thinking. And so it wouldn't surprise me if this has been part of the strategy for a while.
Yeah.
We don't have that arc of history.
My God, we think quarter to quarter.
We don't have that arc of history. So it wouldn't say someone has got a longer-term plan. In my little bad case scenario, AI putting in little bits of code saying, in 10 years, I'm going to activate this all, right?
Yeah.
North Korea and Russia coming together and having their AI battle our AI. And even though they have less to spend, they're at least organized. We are not. We're letting market forces determine the quality of our AI. They're saying, we're going to weaponize this.
or China, who has a 50-year plan,
Yeah.
and modifies it every 5 years, and is investing more in AI than any other nation in the world. I mean, imagine what that's going to be like in 50 years.
Yeah. If behind the scenes there isn't AI wars going on, like there's an active war, not a cold war, but an active war between AIs that's resulting in every once in a while system down. These are gotta be like they're testing the periphery, as any army does when it's about to attack a neighbor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks for weak spots.
Yeah.
Before it goes on the full offensive. That's just the way war works.
And think about the little change that caused this AWS outage and the impact that AWS outage had for a full day, and the economic reverberations that
100%
will happen. It's yeah. All right. Well, that's
ending on a happy note.
That's a cheery note.
Yeah.
Go Chiefs. So here's what we're going to do. This is such a doom and gloom end too. Oh my God. So last time we talked about raising cash. Today we talked about prioritizing profitability or growth. Next time we're going to talk about a hidden danger within your business, and that is cash flow. So how do you manage that? How do you track it? How do you make sure that you don't run out of cash? So,
because when you're out of cash, you're out of money. Which even goes back to our profitability discussion, profitability or growth. Like, if cash flow is your thing, you've got to over-index on profitability at the expense of growth.
Yeah.
Right. Same. It's an extension of what we talked about today.
Yeah. So, interesting topic. Tune in next time. If you have enjoyed this, then please like it, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Let's get the word out about Armchair Quarterbacks. Thank you very much. Sure.
Thank you very much. We'll end it here, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And one more thing. But wait, there's more. Tonight are the Commanders.
And the Chiefs.
Yep. Man, can anyone take the Commanders right now? I'll take the...
Oh, geez. Okay. I'll take the Chiefs.
Okay. I'll take the Commanders.
I'll give you points.
Oh, yeah. What's the line?
I don't know.
We can look it up. Please hold while we look up the line.
What's the line on tonight's Monday Night Football game?
It's already started. Yeah, sorry. I was talking when she...
Okay. Can you do it on yours?
What's the line on tonight's Monday Night Football game?
Okay, I found this on the web for what's
NFL odds and spread, and I don't have my glasses on. That was
Ravens, Dolphins. Keep going down. Commanders.
Monday, November 3rd. Okay, back. Sunday, Thursday. Oh, this is all next week. Yeah, because the game's on. I bet the line isn't showing anymore.
Okay.
Who's at home?
I think it's at Chiefs.
Okay. Give me 3. Give me 8.
3 points.
No.
2.5.
Okay, I'll take Commanders in 3.
Okay.
But I think Jaden's out, right?
I think he is, yeah.
So, and if it's at your home, that's worth 3 right off the top.
Yeah.
And then him being out, that should be worth like another 7. It should be by 10. NFL games are never by 10. So 5.
Commanders in 5.
Commanders in 5. So touchdown loses it for me, but
Okay.
but a field goal wins it for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Let's hope.
tonight's bragging rights.
Yeah. And I don't mind taking the Commanders because next week I'll be voting against them because they'll be up against my Seahawks. And what's nice is my Seahawks got a bye this week, so they're sitting at home watching Monday Night Football right now, and they'll be fully rested by next weekend when the Commanders only have 6 days rest. So I'm hopeful that it is in our favor.
I'm hopeful that's in our favor too. So stay tuned. Let's see how it turns out. All right.
Go Commanders.
Oh, I don't feel good about that at all.
Yeah, it feels weird.
Go Chiefs. All right.
Bye.
See you next time.